I considered just hitting leave meeting, but you'll have to edit this out. All right. Welcome back to Four Women Talking. This is our third episode. I am Morgan Loosely hosting this time. If you aren't writing down our names and memorizing who we are, I'm in Colombo working with Susie and Hillary and Lisa, who are all back for this chat about a little bit more about health and nutrition, because we've heard that we didn't finish and we are nothing if not closers. So we're back.
I will let you closers.
Briefly reintroduce yourselves. If we'll start with Susie.
Susie Church Brown. I am here in Colombo with three of the four of us are here in Colombo. Well, no, that's not true either, because Hillary's not in Colombo right now. She's in the Maldives, and this is how it works. We just are all over the place. Yes. So Susie Church Brown. Hillary, you're up.
Yeah, Hillary Midkiff here again. So excited, tuning in from the Maldives. First day I've had internet since landing here in not the paradise you're all picturing, in a rainy guest house really far south of the equator right now. Yeah, happy to see you ladies again. Lisa?
Thanks, Hillary. I just have to say, though, that being in a little guest house anywhere in Maldives is amazing. So
I agree.
Just one note here. My guest house, I have a jacuzzi in my room for no apparent reason.
Wow.
A full hot tub.
Love it.
Inside?
Inside.
And
That's
you have enough
fantastic.
water to fill it?
Not, I don't know how to turn it on. I also had to call someone in to turn on my shower this morning too. It's very complicated. It's very advanced. There's a lot of digital things reading out the particular temperature of my water here in Maldives.
It's probably in Celsius.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
That's fantastic. I love it. I'm Lisa Tilstra. I am currently in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and so happy to reconnect with all of you, my friends that I met in Colombo.
All right. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to kick it off by asking Hillary, who may or may not be prepared to answer this, about after we spoke, the first Four Women Talking episode was sort of about that you felt like your long-time exercise habits weren't yielding the results that you wanted. So we wanted to do a check-in for people that were like, what happened to Hillary? And just let them know you're not dead. And also to follow up on, do you just give us a readout? How's it going? What's been working? What doesn't? Lessons learned.
Well, I want to be really honest with our millions of followers and just tell them straight up, I've gained 10 pounds since our last episode. It's not my fault. I followed everything that we agreed on. I doubled down on strength training. I got a trainer. I'm doing strength training 3 days a week. I have pulled back running. And I'm just doing the things that make me happy and being active every day and a lot of walking. Now, the problem is my husband thought it would be a really good idea for me to start taking creatine. And so I'm swole. I'm like so swole. So I'm not taking creatine anymore. I'd like to be unswole because it's really hurting my confidence to see the scale going in the opposite direction after so many months of work in like this new training program and feeling so much stronger. I have to be 100% honest about that. Susie, in your classes, I'm like, push-ups, no problem. Okay, 25 is too much. But I really I do feel a lot stronger. Unfortunately, my clothes don't fit anymore, but that's probably just because of all the musculature that I've added to my body. But really, I've stopped creatine as of Friday or as of Sunday of this week. So I'm really hoping for some water loss at this point and for it to just miraculously over the next 2 weeks reveal my goddess-like body.
Which is already there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so proud of you. And also muscle weighs more.
Yeah,
So
I don't buy
your
that. I just
scale,
think that's a lie. I
it
really think
totally
No,
does. It
it's
is not a
very
science.
true.
lie.
It's very true.
It's science. Believe in science, Hillary.
And math.
I do believe in science. I just want to know where the fat will go. I'd like the fat to go and the muscle to stay. And so I'm in that fat muscle conundrum and in the really swole on water conundrum. So I'm really just we're gonna see how this all pans out. But I'm testing, I'm trying, I'm seeing what works, I'm increasing my protein, and just doing everything right. It's just going awkwardly in the wrong direction, which I'm being super honest with my partner about. I'm super sensitive about emotionally, but I'm still trying to like stay the course and figure out what works and what doesn't.
All right.
Awesome.
I think you look great. I've noticed, like, definitely you look. I would not have been like, Hillary put on 10 pounds, and I see you regularly,
I
and I
agree.
feel like I would notice because I'm very judgmental.
Yeah, I sought judgment from you, and you just weren't very observant that day.
No, I was like, she's smoking. Yeah. I feel like Susie has some useful expertise here that I would love for her to dole out.
So I would just start with muscle does weigh more than fat. And so the scale lies, and it's all about energy levels and strength, abilities, and how you feel. And creatine does lead to water weight gain, which is why, and other things, which is why I am doing everything I can to dissuade my boys from taking it. But it's taking a lot of effort and all of my persuasive skills. I think that it's one of the best things about you, Hillary, is that you stick with it. And so I think I applaud the fact that you just keep trying to find the best. And I really, really applaud that.
Thanks, Susie.
Amen. All right, we'll keep revisiting Hillary's journey in future episodes, assuming we have them. And for now, we'd like to hop on to the PCS bandwagon and talk about tying in the nutrition and some of the things we didn't finish talking about in our first episode, but how usually, well, I feel like some of the theme that came up with us before was like that we can do things if things are regular. Like if your schedule's regular and everything's going normally, you can stick to a plan and do it. And a PCS or summer or any relationship disturbance or an elderly parent, all these things, the challenge is really sticking to what you need to do when life isn't normal and making those adjustments. And so I wanted to ask each of you kind of what have you learned, or what do you do to make sure you're still exercising when things aren't your normal routine, when you're not home. We talked a little bit, Lisa shared her walking around all the airports in the world, which is amazing. And I actually thought about that when I was traveling, and I was like, well, Lisa would be walking right now, so get up and walk.
Can I tell
anyway.
you that I got my 10,000 steps in the Chattanooga airport a couple weeks ago, which is like tiny. There's like 4 gates. And I just like look like a mad woman walking back and forth. My flight was delayed. I was like, I got 10,000 steps in before getting on my plane. So
Very
sorry.
impressive.
Right. But so things like that. So if Susie, are you ready to kick us off with some idea, or Hillary, whoever's ready, chime in with something you do that it doesn't need to be exercise. It could also be nutrition. Like, how do you avoid eating junkily? A friend of mine was just talking about her family came to town and all they ate was crap. And so she was just like, I just don't know how to manage in those cases. So your 3 expert tips on that, how to help anybody do better.
I think, so for me, one of the best ways that I stay on that is just follow the same routine, because my routine works for me. Some might say I'm being a little anal about it, but that's what I like to wake up, have a cup of coffee, and then do some sort of exercise. Even if, we know that we'll be very active in a day, then, I just scale it back. But that's what helps me wake up. And so I always make sure one of the first things I pack is my shoes so that I can do whatever athletic or aerobic sort of thing. But then the other thing is, like, I don't eat healthfully because I feel like I have to. I do it because I like to and I want to. And so there's always veg heavy options. I'm not a vegetarian, but I am also lactose intolerant, and I am extraordinarily unpleasant after I have some dairy. And so I do my best to avoid that. And a lot of the foods that are quote unquote junky are also heavy in dairy. So it's easy for me to avoid.
Okay. Hillary, do you have anything? Oh my God. Any insight into that? Anything you found that is useful about not, like, when people are in town and wanting to party, how do you keep it together?
I don't. I'm not particularly good at doing that. I succumb to peer pressure, and more than two people want to have a drink, I'll usually cave. I don't know. I already have a quasi-restricted diet because I'm vegetarian and lactose intolerant, which makes me basically a vegan. But you can be a bad vegan, and I'm very good at being a bad vegan. And so, but I do also really love healthy food. For me, it's a matter of convenience. I'm going to go always for the most convenient thing. And so it's just about, I think I have a couple of ideas how to PCS better in the future. And a lot of those have to do with immediately finding the places where I can get healthy options and have them stocked in advance. I'm so slow, usually taking my time, finding everything. And in the meantime, I'm just eating horribly or whatever's available, or Uber Eats, or whatever the case may be, thinking it's just a temporary amount of time. But that temporary amount of time can really start to expand. And so I think I have come to terms with the fact that, like, no, you need to get the food prepared. I'm really good if I have all the salad stuff prepared in my fridge, I will always go for a salad 100% of the time. But one thing's not ready, the lettuce isn't cut up, I'm like, oh well, I guess it's hamburger night, veggie burger night. And so it really doesn't take a lot for me to tip over the edge. I also, my desert island meal is beans and rice and avocado. So if any of those things are present in my house, I will always eat beans, rice, avocado, and hot sauce. And so that's, for me, the epitome of the healthiest meal I can think of, and be ready in less than 2 minutes. So I will always try to keep those things handy. Lisa?
I recently heard somebody in the health, wellness, fitness expertise realm, and I can't remember who it was, so sorry about that. But I heard them talking about the effects of things like drinking alcohol and some other things that are, basically not great for the human body. But they were saying when it's done in social settings, it has less of a negative impact on us physically. And I thought it was interesting. And for me, like, I don't want it to be an excuse to go, party and this and that, but like to have some flexibility in my life, for the example of having people come into town. Okay, well, it's going to change up my schedule. I'm not as good as Susie at just like sticking to a schedule. I tend to be a little bit more on the people pleasing, make sure everybody else is taken care of, which it can be nice, and it can also be a detriment to myself. So I have to be careful and watch that. But I also try to be forgiving and say, like, okay, but if I am genuinely enjoying this and other people are enjoying, it's okay. I'm having a couple of drinks. I might not, if it was just me, I wouldn't, right? But we're here. Something like that. I might eat something that's like, this isn't my first choice to eat, but everybody's here. We're in it together. And so to enjoy the moments. So that's part of my response to that. And then I think for myself, with being on the go, and be it for a big move or travel, trying to keep my go-to snacks like that are more in the healthy realm. Like, I love almonds, just plain old raw almonds. And if I am traveling and I don't have almonds, I know, Hillary, it's weird, I'm weird. I'm okay. But it's like, that's my go-to snack. And if I don't have them, then I'm like, oh, like I'm missing something. So just trying to keep those. I've come to really enjoy the Think bars, like the protein bars by Think. And so that's another more like on the healthy protein, high protein side that I try to keep on hand and, be flexible and forgiving. And also go to the grocery store rather than fast food stuff. Like just go to the grocery store. I was there the other day while I was traveling. I grabbed a bag of carrots, a bag of greens, and some bresaola because I was in Italy and I love bresaola. Yeah. And then just like ate that as I was driving down the road and snacking for my lunch. And I felt like that was healthier than like popping into McDonald's or whatever.
Can I add one more thing? I mean, like humans are really social. And so in a lot of our socials, I would say 97.5% of our social occasions revolve around food. And so I think just understanding that food will be part of that, especially if you're socializing, especially if you're on leave or on vacation or whatever, food will be a part of that. But then also, foods aren't bad. And when we are mad at ourselves or beat ourselves up for eating a particular food, that's starting to assign like emotional attachments or emotional connotations to that particular food or eating that particular food. And especially if you're on vacation or you've just PCS, there's so many other stressors that I don't think adding stressors about giving yourself something to eat is the best mechanism to just like get through your days. So it's not foods that are bad, it's the amounts of these foods that we eat that are bad.
Very
Done.
wise.
I'm off my softball.
No, I like to hear that. I
soapbox.
need to hear that basically every time we meet. If you could just tell me that would be so all right. So on that, and maybe this is fine, Susie, you can just tell me. Like I tend to then just be like, well, I'll just have bananas and Lara bars all weekend because then I know I'm not going to eat something crappy. Obviously, I think Lisa's point of going to the grocery store is a really good one because it's like you could also get prepared things at almost every grocery store. And I don't even know what the thing is she bought in Italy, but it sounds great. I'm sure it's delicious. And that seems like a great tip. I appreciate also like, yeah, my next question is sort of around that relational cycle of like that if we could at least help ourselves not commit food to the villain in our stress of moving or traveling or vacationing or just like family reunions, anything like that. I'm about to PCS, so I was hoping to get some of your guys' advice about managing beyond just like making time to keep the exercise going because that helps you emotionally. Like, do you have other good PCS advice for relationships? We have one for a relationship with food. It could be advice about relationships with humans. It could be relationships with other inanimate things, anything you got. Hillary's making a very disturbed face, but
Just wonder about these relationships with inanimate objects. I'm just not sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know, your phone. Like, it's easy to, that's what I was thinking about, but I'm sure there are other ones.
I'm sure that's what we were thinking about. That's what we were all thinking when you said that.
Yeah.
I think small. I think there's the things you have to do, right? And then there's the things you want to do. And you have to do the things you have to do first before you get to do the things you want to do, for the most part. But especially during PCSing when like it is all the medical things and it's all those, you have this meeting and that meeting and oftentimes you're geographically single parenting and you might have to do, I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of things you have to do. So I think it's important to be able to include as much in a day that you want to do to really enjoy the time. You have to be able to have that you have to fill the cup, not just pour it out.
I like that. That's helpful. Maybe this, I'll give you
I
a little
will
more.
add,
Yeah, Lisa,
wait.
go, please.
Sorry, I was talking over you because my speakers switched and I couldn't hear you.
We've
Big
lost
pause,
Lisa.
sorry.
She's
No,
there.
yeah, she's there. Somebody's
Wasn't
phone
super
is like
huge.
vibrating and
No, 'cause
touching.
this asshole won't stop texting me. So sorry. I can't make them.
Susie,
stop.
do you have the capability to beep out words? You have to give, now we have to have a disclaimer. There are swear words in this episode.
I'll have to put a disclaimer on.
You want a beeped version, go to our website.
You told me
which
I
we
could
don't
swear.
have.
You said that was okay. You said it was okay.
I don't think, I'm not in charge.
Just not as much
if I
as I
said it was
usually do.
okay,
Just
I
a
was,
little.
yeah. Okay, sorry,
I'm
so the
back.
other
I had a
part-
major technology glitch. Sorry. So I was talking over you, Morgan, I think, and I didn't hear you.
No problem. I was trying to just prompt a little bit more like that. A lot of, I guess, a follow up, and there might be related things, is like when we leave, right? Like I usually will have put effort into like trying to find a group of people to play soccer with, or like volleyball, or other people I know play tennis, and find like a great partner, or badminton, or whatever these activities are. Like I don't like, we all go to Susie's HIIT class. And so it's very easy in the PCS to be like, well, now I can never do HIIT again because I'll be so sad. And so any tips you guys have on that, or if I should just accept it and say goodbye to HIIT?
I have strong opinions on sadness, and that it's okay to be sad. And it's there's a book I really appreciate called by Susan King called Bittersweet. And sadness is an emotion. I think earlier in my life, I was kind of encouraged to sidestep. Don't be sad. It's okay. Everything's going to work out. There's a reason for everything. So lots of like just stuff the sadness. And in my own life, I have found that sadness, I sometimes call sadness one of my superpowers, because I really believe in stepping into sadness and letting it be. And particularly in those times of saying goodbye, Morgan, like you're saying, after our first couple international moves, I really struggled, and I felt myself withdrawing emotionally. And like in our next post, I was like, I don't want to become friends with anybody because I know I'm just going to say goodbye to them in a couple of years. And then catching myself and saying, wait a minute, no, because I'm someone that deeply needs connection. Connection is one of my core values. So I've got to figure out a way to keep building strong emotional connections, even though I know I'm going to be saying goodbye in a couple of years. And so in a way, it's embracing sadness. And when I'm saying goodbye to people and feeling that sadness, to say, I feel sad because of all the good times. Like sometimes we say goodbye and we're just like cheering because we're like, hallelujah, it's over. I might not ever have to work with this person again, like whatever, like, and that's fine too. But the sad moments are really indicative of wonderful connection and beautiful moments. And that's been really helpful for me to just kind of shift my mindset away from, oh, I feel sad, I don't want to go through this again. Like, wait a minute, yeah, like, and I have to find the balance of getting sucked into kind of like the vortex of sadness, which can be a little bit of a downward spiral sometimes for me, and I can be a little bit prone to depression in those times. So I have to find some sort of balance there. But one of the key things I keep coming back to is when I feel sad, especially around saying goodbyes, it's reflective of so many good things.
That's great. Susie, you have something to.
I mean, that's really the beauty of foreign service, is sort of that revolving cycle that we all have with people coming and going. And there are, as Lise nailed it, like there are some people that you are like, see ya, don't let the door hit you as you're heading on out that door. But then there's those that you just you are so grateful for the times you still get to spend with them. Like this conversation here. Like I have met amazing people and I am so grateful for that. And I think it's a small world. And so we can and do run into one another on a fairly regular basis. You have to make a little bit of an effort, but then that means that you appreciate and relish that time together that much more.
I just wanted to say that I read something recently, or I heard something in a podcast, but women tend to form intensely close relationships, sometimes very, very quickly, like soulmate relationship, friendships with friends. And I think sometimes those can hit us out of the blue. Sometimes they can happen later in life. Like I have my friends from middle school that I am still best friends with, and we travel around the world together. And I thought my cup was full. I didn't need more intense relationships in my life because I have these two women who made me who I am today, who I still love and cherish. But everywhere I go around the world, you know, you get one or two or three more. And these two women get really mad at me because before I know it, I'm referring to someone else as my best friend. And they're like, whoa, 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 we have a status there. That's not something you give out. But they're right and they're wrong. You know, they're these, and so I don't keep the door closed on that anymore. I just think people will come into your life and they will, and because we form these really close attachments, they span continents, they span time zones, they span years of silence. And then you're back in the same country and you pick up right back where you left off and you don't miss a beat. And so I think it's wonderful that women are able to do that. I don't know why this story explicitly was speaking to women. Perhaps men are less open to that, or they just don't talk about their feelings so much. I don't know. Maybe they're not as lovable. So that's what I wanted to say about that. But I think, Morgan, to your initial question, which is how do you stay, how do you keep exercising or doing something like when you're PCSing? Is that where this started?
I mean, that's our overarching theme sort of, is like, are there hacks, or is it just like you just gotta stay on the routine as much as you can? Is it
okay, so
anything?
I'm going to speak to the type A people in the audience, since you three are like super loosey-goosey about like, oh, I'm going to exercise when I feel like it, and whatever exercise there is today, that I think speaks to my inner fitness guru. I'm not like that. I need a schedule. I have an app that is synced to my watch, that is synced to my computer, that's synced to 2 different training plans that tell me exactly what to do with motivational language. And they come up, and you know what? When I do that thing, it turns green. And that green is very rewarding for me. And so I like have a whole plan. And every Sunday I go through what it looks like for the week. I schedule it into where I can fit it in my calendar. Susie, your HIIT classes are just permanently in my calendar, so I don't have to do those. Zumba also. But like, which days am I running? Which days am I weight training? What does that look like? And it also gives me comfort because I travel so much for work, I can fit that into it. And so I'll name my runs. Like today's was 4 miles in Formula, because that's the island I'm on. So I knew I have to do this in this place, given the constraints of this location, where I'm at, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, I was in Male, and the last time I was there with Juan, he went and checked out the gyms, because I'd been a little bit intimidated to go to a gym in Male with all these men. And he's like, I found one. It's called the Hammer. It's totally co-ed. And I'm like, that sounds co-ed. That sounds really co-ed. I'm really excited about that. And I told my Maldivian female friends, I'm going to go to the Hammer. And they looked at me like I was insane. It's very macho, Hillary, like very macho. And I was like, I'm going. And so I went there the day before yesterday, did my whole weight training workout. I was the only woman, 12 men. They gave me a wide berth. I was like an alien among them. It was hilarious. And I got 2 messages from friends. They're like, look at you smashing gender norms, throwing weights around. They'd seen me. They'd like, of course, see me walk into the gym there. And anyway, but I had that in my plan. I'm going to go to this gym. I'm going to do it. And when I left, the guy's like, see you next time you're traveling here. I'm like, yeah, I'll see you next time. But I have to have that plan, and it doesn't have to be 100%. It could shift, it could move, but that's reassuring for me in the way I mentally work with these things. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Can I ask you, can you just manage to tell us the app?
Oh yeah. Training Peaks.
Training Peaks, like Mountain Peak? Peak, I guess there isn't another way to spell that.
Like a mountain peak, yeah. It's not
like
it's not-
PIQUE.
no,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
not. No, it's I think it was built for triathletes. It's a little complicated. It's not like a novice fitness app, but you get the hang of it really quickly. You can download plans straight into it, fills it out. It works for me. I've been using it for apparently 8 years now, because it had 8 years worth of data in there the other day when I went to look at it, which was telling and fun. But yeah, it's just, I like having data.
Yeah.
And a plan.
I like that. Okay, that's great. So Training Peaks for you. Susie or Lisa, do you guys use any apps regularly that you like or would recommend, or you are nervous about putting your name to an app?
I don't use an app. I mean, I've done some of the all of the virtual races are through like various apps, but I find I'm not very good at putting stuff in, or I get like overly like focused on, well, I have to get so many miles or time or minutes or whatever. So I try not to use that. Lisa, you have one?
I use Garmin, and I use their training plan for my running because I have a Garmin watch, and so and I do a heart rate based running plan, which I really like, because then I'm just focused on it's time versus distance, and for whatever reason my brain rebels if I focus on distance, and I'm like, oh, it takes so long to run that far, but I can run that far if I'm just focused on time and heart rate and not even think about it. So that's worked for me, of sticking with those plans. And then I was using an app previously for weight training called Dr. Muscle. And I have since let go of my subscription and just follow John around the gym when I go weight train with him, because I've figured out for myself, like, I really don't like weight training, but I know it's good for me and I want to do it and I feel good after I do it. And I used to try to go and then do my own thing, and realized if I can just align my schedule to go to the gym with John and follow him around and humble myself enough to let him tell me what to do, it works to get the weight training done. And he enjoys it very much. And in the end, I feel good, even though I'm just like, don't tell me what to do in the middle of it. So yeah, that's my.
Because we already know that John has inputted that into several apps, right? So he's already got his.
Indeed.
Very true. All right. Okay. Let me see anything that isn't fitness or health related that you would advise me as I prepare to pack out and not fall apart.
Go ahead.
Everybody has something. Let's go alphabetically. Hillary.
How am I alphabetically correct?
I went first name alphabetical. I went through your second letters first.
So I said this to one of you said it back to the other one said it to somebody else. I don't remember. I think Morgan, we were talking about this, but Juan and I have a rule that, like, we can't get a divorce in the first 6 months of a big change. We can tell each other we want a divorce and we're gonna divorce and definitely time to divorce, but we can't do it until we've been in our new location for at least 6 months. And I think it's not just divorce, but it's let's get a dog, let's have a baby. None of these things should happen in the first 6 months of a transition period. No, I mean, you can buy really nice big furniture, I'll give you that, but like so we try to like wait it out. It's always so tough. And it's just I haven't really had to do it with a kid that's aware of it yet. So I don't know what that looks like for them. I don't really know how to be there for them yet. So that'll be new when and if we ever leave Sri Lanka. And so yeah, but no big life decisions, no matter how much you want to strangle your partner.
That's solid. It's very sound advice.
And we take that 6 months also before the move. So we cannot get a divorce 6 months before a move or after a move.
The year is a
And
pretty big commitment. To
No,
not-
I can't
It
commit
is.
to that.
It is. And then, I mean, like when we moved from the Netherlands and then John did a 1 year assignment in the war zone. And then the next, like, it was kind of like almost 3
He
consecutive
was
years where
cheating.
it's like,
He kept
we
extending
can't.
it. He was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
gotta go somewhere quick. We're up to the 6 months."
Yeah. No, and
Sorry,
it's
babe,
so
I got
interesting,
deployed.
right?
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it's like, wait a minute, we shouldn't have to have a rule about this. But at least for me, the moves have been stressful and difficult, and it takes a toll on us relationally. And I have found it's sometimes a challenging space in the embassy communities to talk about relational difficulties, because you might be talking to somebody else who works with your spouse and so you're like, I can't talk about this here. So it can be difficult too, because a lot gets held inside, and then I think I'm the only one. But then when I do start talking about it, everybody's like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's really difficult, and I wanted to strangle my spouse or partner. And so I think it is quite common. And again, like in the world of psychology and relationships, major stressors include moves. We have these enormous moves that take us to different parts of the world, extremely different situations and circumstances. And so, of course, it's going to take a toll on our relationships. And in a way, I don't know if it makes it better. For me, it makes it a little bit better to normalize it. No, I'm not alone. And then figure out strategies. Okay, well, what are the strategies to help us manage this? Which I will add a quick anecdote here, in that John and I, before he was going to the war zone, we intentionally said, let's do some marital counseling. So we did. And he, in the structure of reporting, I'm doing this, blah, 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 like did all of those things. And it was okayed by all the powers that be. And then when he was going to do his final medical clearance for going to the war zone, somebody was like, wait a minute, you've been seeing a therapist. You can't go to the war zone. And I was like, I was about to lose it. And in the end, like it all worked out. But there was like this initial moment. And I'm like, you're telling me we can't take care of our relationship and be intentional about strengthening it without it being a potential liability for him to go serve in this place. And it made my head want to explode. And if they had not approved him to go, I was like, you will take me in and you will take me to the highest level in the organization, and you will see a side of me that you have never seen before. I was just like,
Yeah.
So fortunately for everybody, we didn't have to go that route, but I was extremely upset when I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the only one who should be going. It's like, have you
Right.
done therapy? If so, you can go. Susie.
Yeah.
I mean, and on that, like I do think mental health and taking care of mental health and mental health challenges is a very, very big problem umbrella in the Foreign Service. And it's sort of our weak link. So moving is so stressful. It is really very challenging. And we've done this pre-kid and then post-kid. And I feel like our biggest successes for moves come with a few things, but children especially are like monkey see, monkey do. So if you have a bad and crappy attitude about moving, and you have sort of a curiosity about where you're moving and the people that you will be amongst, or your community, your school, that sort of thing, then I feel like that they echo that. And so I try really hard to showcase isn't the right word, but to do that, because even if you fake it, they don't always pick up on that, and then it just kind of becomes this like positive cycle. So there's that. But also, like I think I'm an innately a curious person, so I really enjoy seeing and new places and meeting new people. But it can feel so intimidating, especially if you're moving someplace. You know, a few of our countries weren't English speaking, and so then you have that language barrier as well, and then you're really stuck within your potentially small embassy community, and it makes it really challenging to find your people. For me, that's really important. When I land somewhere, set up the home, figure out like where to get groceries, fruit, veggies, etc., and then finding my people, because I'm not the direct hire, so I don't automatically have that connection to people on a regular basis, other than the little people that I shepherd around who are now taller than me. And I have, I guess, a mental checklist on what I need in order to be successful where I land. And so that is what I seek and actively work on achieving. But then the other thing, sorry, I'm super long. The other thing that we do while we're in PCS mode is we have some sort of family adventure. Like we'll go explore a new city, or one year it was how many amusement parks can we go to? So we just kind of do something that all of us look forward to, and that just makes it kind of a fun adventure. And I think having that kind of built-in adventure when you're already mobile really helps to make the process a little less torturous.
I like that. Yeah, we tend to have our PCS, like the home leave is, I don't know, I have a really hard time not having it just be like all dedicated to family who are like, why don't you just live here? You're horrible for not living here. And then I'm like, well, guess what? I'm leaving a week early to go to Disneyland, or like, I don't know, it doesn't sell in the way I want it to when we go home. But I think that, and actually my sister's lovely and almost always plans some family trip for us to do, which is really great. And so it's helpful because, right, it's not just like dropping in on their regular lives, but to have something that we jointly get to do, and the kids love it and look forward to be hanging out with her. And so I think that I hadn't thought of amusement park summer, but that's actually an amazing idea.
We try to plan that first and then let others know about it so they can join, because I know stateside people have very busy schedules. So like if you could let them know, even just like, hey, these 5 days we're working on it, we haven't figured it out yet, but save those 5 days for us, and then you have more company, and they can very specifically deliberately spend that time with you.
Right. You're right, because a lot of it you're like, can you stop all your normal routines to be with us? And that's also just more asking more from them again. Okay, I have, is anything else you guys want to say on this particular emotional mental health part? Because I'm related, but I want to actually, now that we're talking about this, progress into like your new place. And what if they're like, I'm leaving a beachy, it's mostly chilled island with some high intensity parts, with a lot of sea activities, to a place that is like a huge city where there aren't a lot of sea opportunities in the same way. Like it's not beachy. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you, when you're switching to a totally different type of location, like, how do you best find a new activity or like a new thing you might like to do without, backtracking, not really backtracking, an aside. When you go into a bike shop, bicycles, it is like the highest stress store you can ever go into, because bike shop people are total snobs. They're really like all they do is bikes. And so if you go in and you're like, I just want like a bike, they're like, well, what kind of bike do you want? What wheels? And what are you going to do? And are you doing a century? And like, blah, 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 blah. So my fear progresses across to all the other sports where I'm like, I'd like to do rock climbing. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to do bouldering? Do you need shoes? Do you need a kit? Or do you do auto belay? Right. And so anyway, do you have advice about like getting rid of this is obviously all my own emotional baggage, and being able to just go in and say like, actually, I have no idea, but I'd love to try because now we're here.
You should just take up running. I mean, if you put on shoes and a sports bra, go. You're
That's
an
it?
explorer. I really love running. I look forward to, that's all you wear.
No bottoms. Just
Maybe
the
you're
shoes.
PCSing to Germany. I don't know what they do over there. So I think that I have to share this because this is why I really love running, is because it's minimal requirements. There's always someone slower than you, and you get to explore wherever you go, on the ground, on your own 2 feet. You see the city, you see the sights, you find other runners who are out there acting just as idiotic as you are with no pants on. And you just like, you find your tribe, you find these, and there's always, every city has a running group. And I'm not like a running spokesperson. I always look for the easiest, simplest thing. And for me, that's always been running. I also get intimidated by all these sports that require equipment and accoutrement. Like, sorry, that's too much. I got a watch, I got shoes. I mostly have pants. So
Sometimes.
It is extremely portable.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I guess I'm just old enough that I just think, you know what, I don't really care if you think I'm stupid and I don't understand the equipment. I don't want to buy the $900 kit. I just want insert shoes or rope or whatever it is. And you just want to try it, right? So if it's rock climbing, for example, then what is the minimal commitment that you need to make in order to get whatever you need to safely do the activity? And then don't try and talk me into anything else. That's what I want. And then try the activity. Maybe you love it and maybe you hate it. And if you hate it, you sell the equipment or take it back. But I guess my biggest point is like, I have gotten to the point where I don't care if I'm insulting whomever shop owner is, and I don't know the lingo.
I've had that experience of going into the bike shop and being treated like a total idiot. And I was living in a place where I could go to multiple bike shops, which, right, might be location dependent. And after pushing through that first terrible experience, the next one, I had a little bit more knowledge and I had more questions to ask. And by the third and the fourth bike shop, I was like, oh, I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about. And it helped me try to take that into new experiences and say, okay, I am willing to show up sounding like I feel like an idiot. I feel like that kind of like, let me be small. I don't know all the things to ask. I don't know any of the lingo. And then to push through because I knew, okay, hey, by asking these questions, I'm going to learn. And then the next time, and so if I only had access to one shop, I might intentionally say, hey, I'm just here to look. I'm here to learn. I'll think about it, come back, to give myself time to absorb and feel a little bit more confident. And if I do have access to multiple shops, I have run into people who treat me nicely, even though I don't know anything. And then I'm like, oh, I want to shop at your shop because you were much more pleasant to interact with than these other people who, made me feel small and little and whatnot. So, and I think we live in a time where so many places have introductory classes, and that can be a nice thing, and test it out and, commit to trying and being a beginner. And I also I think one of my other strategies is just to say very directly and plainly, I am a beginner. I'm a total beginner. Help me get started. And then it just I'm not going to pretend I know anything. And it just kind of gives the context for everybody and be like, okay, and then trying to find somebody who treats me nicely as a beginner.
I think we should extrapolate what Lisa's saying to the whole new PCS site. Like wherever you're moving to, be an idiot. Don't be that person who comes in there that knows everything about the place and all of this. Like go in with that child's mindset, with curiosity, like treat every new experience. Personally, what I've always done since like, I don't know, the early 2000s was when I was going somewhere new or moving somewhere new, I remembered all the new things. The first time I walked into the US Embassy in Colombo, like I took it all in. You only get one new experience. You only get to do that first walk through one time. The first time you sit down at your desk, the first time you go to Golf Face Green, or the first time you do. And I think we should be an idiot, like question, be curious, ask all of these things, treat the whole thing as the novice experience that it is. And then you're not that asshole who's like, oh, I already know when the city was founded and where I've already checked into, I know the groups that I'm going to hang out with. I know the people I know. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. That's always a guy. Don't be that person.
It is a guy.
You know, the other way to find out about what is awesome about your new city, your new post, is to they almost always have some sort of social media group with, you know, various people, and then just to ask a question like, what is fun to do there? Like what can I do that what do you all do to pass the time? And you know, maybe it's just, you know, drinking clubs, or we all go to Zumba on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. in the NPR, which we do, but you don't even know what you might be looking forward to because you don't know it's there. So ask.
Yeah, that's valid.
Can I toss out one
right.
more resource?
Please.
I just recently read a book called Upward Spiral, and it's written by Alex Korb, and he's a neuroscientist who studies depression and the brain and what is happening in the brain with depression. And it is one of the most practical, like, take actions to get on what he calls an upward spiral versus the downward spiral. And I'm speaking from someone who I've never experienced severe depression or major clinical depression, but I've had kind of a low-lying depression that I can function totally fine in life. And yet inside, I'm not enjoying myself. I'm struggling, and it can really take a toll. Partially too, because it's not, I did for many years, I would say I didn't even notice it myself because it's like, oh, I'm just, you know, I don't know, melancholy or whatever. So I'm seeing it more through this lens of depression right now for myself, and this low-lying depression, and understanding certain parts of what's happening to the brain. And it's super complex, but we can make these little tiny adjustments that can make a major impact on this whole complex system. So, you know, things like just take actions. I'm somebody that I can sometimes just get overwhelmed by all the different decisions. I don't even know where to start. And I spend 20 minutes deliberating over, well, if I do this, then that, and he's like, just take a small action. Like, just decide to do something. Turn on the light. Make that decision and turn on the light. And that can make a difference in our brain and kind of get the prefrontal cortex online. Write something down and do it. Like, okay, check, I did that. Do one push-up before you drink your coffee. You know, little tiny things like this that you can take action. And it's been really cool in my life. And I know with the major transitions that I can be prone to getting on a downward spiral. So I'll just put this out there as what I found to be a super practical resource of, even for people that don't, you know, experience depression. We all can kind of have these times of like downward spirals and everything sucks and everything's going terribly. It's like, okay, wait a minute. How can I get back on an upward spiral? So I think
sorry, I do want to hear Upward Spiral by Alex
Korb, K-O-R-B.
K-O-R-B.
Is the last name.
Okay. I do think that there is sort of a natural like low as you PCS, because it's like you will mostly have some grief about what you're leaving. You have this home leave that is, as Susie pointed out, frequently just like medical appointments and like I don't know, a whirlwind, regardless of what you do. And then you go somewhere new, and if you aren't the direct hire, it's like you are kind of then just adrift. And it's really easy. I can see how being able to say, like, okay, I don't need to handle everything right now. Like, I just need to take some steps or do one action anyway. And it seems more manageable if it's not like, how will I ever get settled here? And I need to figure that out by 4 o'clock, right? Like, that's not a great approach. But if you're like, I'm going to go walk down the street and see if this person sells tea or bananas or whatever, that would be much, and it gives a sense of sort of accomplishment. And you're not just sitting around milling on all the things you're not actually doing. Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
100%.
I think we're at the end of my list of PCS health related questions. You guys have any last sort of like do's and don'ts that have popped into your head about staying healthy or not? Or basically in America, every time I go back, I'm like, whoa, look at these double pumpkin cookies, whoopie pies. They've taken 2 cookies and they put frosting in, and this is 1 cookie now.
And it's
So
2 to
anyway,
1, so
yeah,
you need
America.
4 cookies.
Anyway, I'm always sort of like, should I eat it? But
You know
anyway,
what? You
any
should
last
get it lettuce and carrots and whatever else Lisa said. Smash it together and then
bazoolis.
drive with that. I'm pretty sure it's a greasy salami product. So she's driving with her rental car with
I bet
salami.
It's a little
product.
drier. It's a
Okay,
little
well,
drier than salami.
don't you need to cut it? Are we just biting it off the sausage?
No,
roll?
it's slices. It's slices.
Oh my God.
It's so delicate.
That's not what I
and
Thinly
meant.
feminine.
sliced.
She would
Thinly
never just
sliced.
chomp.
And then stuff the lettuce into her mouth. I don't know how this works. I
You
tried
make a
to
sandwich
picture it.
in your mouth with the lettuce, the carrots, and the salami.
It sounded like so much work, Lisa, that I just I kind of it's just
She actually went to McDonald's and back while you talked about it.
and I got the double cookie whoopie thing and just ate the whole thing because that's actually a portable handheld product that you can eat as opposed to lettuce, sausage chunks, and carrot sticks.
Exactly. So
How is
much work.
carrot sticks not portable?
Thank
Not
you, Susie.
compared with this-
Someone defending me.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
I
I'll
would
just send you
say-
pictures.
I'll say one more thing back to
Yes,
your
please.
question, Morgan, of anything else. And you mentioned it where like there's the natural dip after landing in a new place. I have come to anticipate, for me, it's usually around the 4-month mark, somewhere between 4 and 6 months, where I'm going to be frustrated with everything. I'm going to feel depressed. I'm really going to miss the last things, or things that were at my last post, things like that. And also to know, okay, this is normal. I'm going to move through it. I'm going to settle in. There's something called the William Bridges transition model that talks about, endings, a neutral zone, a new beginning, and this whole psychological process of, adjusting. And so just to say, like, it's normal, it's natural. We all go through it. Find people to talk to, find friends.
And in that dip, just remember all the shitty things about where you lived before. Like the horror stories.
I
The
hated
fact
that
that
place.
we didn't have gasoline for months or electricity, or just remember all that and then just sit in a calm, happy place.
Yeah.
My 2 cents would be that it's also important to remember that whole spectrum of emotions and feelings and all that. It's so important, and that you don't get to know how amazing the good is unless you have those lows and those negative feelings. So yeah, I mean, it's okay to miss things, and it's okay to be okay with missing things, and it's okay to be happy about being in your new place, and that doesn't take away from how much you love the old place.
That's good. Yeah. What if I like it too much? Then I'll feel bad.
That's awesome. That means that you are where you need to be at that point.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. Thank you very much for these wise words about PCSing and staying on routines or having a really strict one or not. I appreciate you sharing your kind, wise wisdom. All of three of you. It was fabulous to chat again. And I'll keep you posted as I try to stay calm and accept all the feelings as we move.
We'll
Good
have
luck,
to
Morgan. You got this.
keep checking
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll stop paying attention to time zones and just be calling.
Yeah. And Susie and I will remind you of the bad parts of what you're leaving constantly, just to make you feel better.
It probably
Yeah.
won't be the beach though.
No.
But like really bad wallpaper that looks like marble, maybe.
Sorry,
it will be-
what? For real? That's
Yeah.
wallpaper?
That's
For all
nice.
of you who are listening, which is everybody, it really does look like marble on the walls.
It really
It's not-
does.
it's not
Bizarre.
marble.
And the furniture is all brown.
No,
which is
that's
kind
lawn
of-
furniture. That's lawn furniture.
Are you inside? And it's inside brown lawn and furniture?
Yeah.
Where's the jacuzzi? Show us the jacuzzi. I'll describe it. I'll describe it in a whispery voice. We might do, hey, so yeah, anybody who's listening, which might be nobody, we want your feedback on if we should start doing ASMR episodes for you. Okay. Well, that's a huge jacuzzi. Okay, so there's a big jacuzzi. It's covered
It's
in
also where
Hillary's
I'm doing my
exercise
laundry.
clothes.
But
It's
Yeah.
the round part where you're supposed to sit and the jets blow at your butt.
there's two round parts. Look at this. This
There's
is for two
Side by
people.
side jetting.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
amazing.
a couple's massage in a jacuzzi.
That is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons there. Don't touch them.
I don't think it would be allowed to stay here.
Stop touching those buttons. All right. So 4 women talking, signing off.
So fun.
Until the
Thank you,
next
guys.
time.
Bye,
Thank you
ladies.
all. Bye.